Everyone is Curious Clover here, and today, I know Ultra Prism's already been released, but we're going to be doing a set review, because you guys on Twitter actually said you guys wanted one, and I kind of want to just look at the cards more in depth. So we're going to do that. I mean, if you don't want to watch this, if you just want to tab out, cool, you can listen to it. We're just going to go card by card and kind of just, I don't know, talk about each one, and yeah. Do that. So we're just gonna start up with the execute. So for 1 grass energy, you get the continuous explosion. Kind of reminds me of Voltorb or Electrode or whatever the I forget what it is, but there's that. I mean, not too much. We got Yanma, super speed. You do 20 damage, and you can also prevent damage to you if you need to stall out. We've got Yen Mega here. For 1 grass energy, use Supersonic, which does 30 damage and confuse your opponent's active, which is pretty cool. Confusion is pretty good. Put that on there. I like confusion. I like running the SB on GX. So just for 1 energy, getting that little bit of damage and confusing them reminds me of the SB on GX. And you've got Cutting Wind, a lot of energy. It does 120, so I mean, it might be worth it. You do 1 grass, 2 grass, maybe a DCE, 3 energy, 120. It's not too bad. Got Roselia with Petal Dance. You flip 3 coins. It does 30 damage for each heads, but you're not confused, so not feeling that. Roserade. Inviting Poison. Switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active. The new active is now poisoned. Kind of reminds me of Lysander, and then you also poison your opponent. So if you want to just kind of stall out, and I mean, Roserade's like that. Except this Roselia isn't good. I don't know if there's another Roselia in Standard. We've got Flower Tornado, dealing 100 damage. Move any number of grass energy from your Pokemon to your other Pokemon in any way you like. Way to move grass energy? I don't know. You could pair this up maybe with Shiny and Genesect and Venusaur. I don't know. Turtwig, you got Synthesis. Search your deck for grass energy and attach it to one of your Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. Headbutt Bounce. 30 damage for 2 energies. Not. We've got Tackle, Razor Leaf. I'd probably say I don't know. It depends. Synthesis, you can help set up your mons. This one, you can just do 1 DCE and then already do 20 damage. You got Grotto with Mega Drain. Razor Leaf. It's a lot of energy for Razor Leaf. We're gonna look at Torterra real quick, since this set is based around Diamond and Pearl. So Torterra has got Giga Drain, 2 grass, and a colorless for 50 damage, and you heal from this Pokemon the same amount of damage that you did to your opponent's active. So I mean, if it's weak, you can heal 100. I mean, that's a lot of energy. It does have a lot of HP though. Earthquake with 3 grass and a colorless, doing 180 damage, which is pretty good, because a lot of GXs, if you stick a choice band on this, you can do 210, which is pretty good against the GXs. But it also does 20 damage to each of your bench mons, which kind of sucks, doing damage to your bench, unless you have a way to heal it up, or you don't really have a bench. Cherubi. I mean, 1 grass energy for 30 damage isn't too bad, but if it depends on a coin flip, so there's that. Cherim. Weather Guard, the ability your grass Pokemon have no weaknesses. This could be pretty decent to maybe run a 1/1 line in grass decks, just so you don't have the weakness. You don't have to worry about against fire types, because I think fire decks are going to be more popular with the boost that steel decks have now. So grass is going to suffer from that, but if you don't have a weakness, and you don't have to worry about like what is it? Like the stadium that says like your metal type Pokemon don't have a weakness. You don't have to worry about field blowing like if you have Cherim up, your grass Pokemon are pretty safe from fire type, taking that double damage. We got Carnivine with Chomp Chomp. 20 damage. Carnivine is not good. 20 damage for 2. Colorless, we heal 20. And the Loom Over just 2 grass energy, and you do 90 minus. So the weaker Carnivine is, the less you're doing. It's not good. Alright, we got Leafeon GX, the first GX here. Its ability, if this Pokemon is your active, once during your turn, you may heal 50 damage from one of your Pokemon that has any energy attached to it. Not too bad, as long as you remember to keep using that. Solar Beam for grass and 2 colors, so 2 energy drops doing 110. You stick a choice band on it, that's 140. That's not too bad. That's 2 shot on just about anything for 2 energy drops, and you can get that first turn. If you go first, you can get that grass energy on the Eevee, and then just the double colorless for the second turn, and you're good. Grand Bloom for each of your bench Pokemon. Search your deck for a card that evolves from that Pokemon and put it onto that Pokemon to evolve it, then shuffle your deck. So this one, if you've got like first turn Bridget, you get out, and it doesn't even have to be grass type, so you can like get out whoever if you want to start setting up. I might try and do a type null deck with this, or a Savali deck with this, because then you can easily like have 3 Savalis already set up, or 2 Savali, or stuff like that. I do need another Leafeon in here though, to get that deck going. More Rotom. All the Rotoms have this ability, Rotom Motor. It's a really weird bit. You just need 9 tool cards in your discard pile, and then you can ignore all the energy cost in the attack. All energy in the attack cost of each of those Pokemon's attacks. But all their attacks are really bad. I mean, this one, it's 3 energy, a grass and a double color. So 2 energy drops. But you're only doing 60, but you do discard a special energy, so I don't know. But yeah, that 9 tool cards in your discard is a lot. I've got the first Shaman. So you got Coax for a colorless energy. You switch your deck for up to 3 basic Pokemon of different types and put them on your bench and shuffle your deck. One thing with this is they all have to be different types. So you can get like 1 colorless, 1 grass, and I don't know, a fire if you run a fire type in there. And the Soothing Scent, grass to colorless, 30 damage, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. I think I'd rather have the Mon be confused. Dewpider, 1 grass energy bubble, 10, and you can paralyze your opponent. So not too bad to try and stall out if you need to start off with Dewpider. Although we'll see how Araquanid is. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's fire Pokemon, so protecting you from the fire types once again. And then Aqua Edge, doing 70 for grass and 2 colorless. So basically 2 energy drops. You could, if you stick Choice Band on Araquanid, you could be doing 100 damage. If you're going against a Lycanroc, you could be doing 200 damage. Yeah, if you're going against a lot of fighting types, you can do 200 damage. Which isn't too bad as long as you got the Choice Band on. That's not too bad. But there's that. We've got Magmar here, Controlled Burn. You discard the top card of your opponent's deck for fire energy. And then Flamethrower, 2 fire and a colorless, 80 discard energy. Nah. These ones end up being the ones that are like in theme decks. Magmortar, we've got the ability, Incandescent Body. If it's your active and it's knocked out by opponent's attack, or it's damaged by opponent's attack, you're now burned. So I feel like this set relies a lot around being burned. We've also got, well, I feel like there's just a lot of status conditions in this set. You've got Fire Blaster. You may discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. If you do, it'll do 80 more. You do need like 3 fire energies, just 3 energies in general, 2 fire, to get this running. And it's only doing 160. I mean, I guess if you have a Choice Band, you can do 190, which is a solid number to hit, but then you gotta waste 2 turns attaching your energies back. We got Chimchar with Flare, 20 for 1 fire engine. Not bad for a basic. Chimchar, though, only has 40 HP, which is really bad, especially if you're going against Ho-Oh, because Ho-Oh can do 50 damage to one of the benched Mons, which is why I feel like a lot of the basics now have 60 HP, but Chimchar doesn't. This one does. You'd probably want to play this one. It's got Fury Swipes for 1 colorless. You flip 3 coins, you do 10 damage. So you can do anywhere from 0 to 30. We got Monferno with Super Singe, 20 for 1 fire energy, and your opponent's active Pokemon's burned. And then here's Infernape. So Infernape's ability is actually pretty interesting with the fact that you put 6 damage counters instead of 2 on your opponent's burned Pokemon between turns. So it's doing 60 damage each turn as long as your opponent's active stays burned. But then you've got this Burst Punch for 2 energy drops, fire and whatever else you want, the colorless, doing 50, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned, and then it'll be their turn, and they take, like, it's basically doing 110 damage if it stays burned the first turn, and then when it gets back to you, 170. That's pretty dang good. Another one of the Rotoms, the Rotomotor, like we've said, and then a Heat Blast, 1 fire, 2 colorless, doing 80. Salandit, Live Coal, 10 for 1 fire energy, combustion for fire and a colorless energy, dealing 30 damage. Not too bad. I don't know, we have a lot of Salandits in standard, obviously, so you'd have to see which one you want. This one does have 70 HP, though. Salazzle, it's got Panic Poison for 1 fire energy. This one's pretty cool. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned, confused, and poisoned. So it's going to be taking damage from burned. It's going to be taking damage from being poisoned, and it could hit itself in confusion and do all that damage. Then we've got Hunter's Nails, fire and a colorless, is 60 plus. If your opponent's active Pokemon is affected by a special condition, this attack does 60 more damage. So just the 2 energy drop, and you can do 120 every turn because you've got the burn, confused, and poison. Even if they get rid of burn, we still got the confusion and the poisoned. If they evolve, well, then you've got to hit them with Panic Poison again. But that's not too bad because they have a chance to something. Like Salazzle is actually pretty. I don't know. That's Salazzle. I really like it. It's not going to be a main deck or anything, but I like it. We've got Turtonator here, Searing Flame, doing 10 with 1 fire energy, and you also burn your active. So if you pair this up with like Infernape, this is a basic, so you can do some pretty decent damage. And Steam Artillery, way too many energy costs for the 100. But I mean, it's just that Searing Flame, just burning it, and this is being a basic. Got a Lowland Sandshrew here. Fury Swipes doesn't take any energy 10 times. It's just flip 3 coins and you can do anywhere from 0 to 30. Lowland Sand Slash, Spike Armor. No energy cost, doing 30 damage. And if this Pokemon's damaged by an attack in the next turn, you put an extra 6 damage counters on it. So you can do 90 if they attack you, which is pretty solid even if you're knocked out. So that's not too bad. And then you got Frost Breath, water, and 2 colorless, doing 90, so 2 energy drops. Not too bad. We've got a Alolan Vulpix, Roar. Opponent switches our active Pokemon with one of the bench Pokemon. The Vulpix you probably want to play is the one from Guardians Rising. With, I forget what the free attack is. Beacon. Icy Snow, 1 water energy for 10 damage. Just standard. Yeah, there's no Ninetales in here, so it's gonna be better to play the one from Guardians Rising. We've got Piplup with Splatter, and it does 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon for 1 water energy, so I mean, you can start getting a bit of damage on your opponent's bench. Doing 20 isn't too bad because if your opponent has like some of that is like 190, we're doing the 20, now it brings it down to 170, and you can knock it out with like hitting 180 with the Choice Band or whatever. Or if it's at 210, you bring it down to 190, and then you just gotta try and maybe you Kukui or whatever. We've got this Piplup, we got Peck for 1 colorless, 10, and then Wave Splash, 20 damage for water and a colorless, and not real good. Primplup. Bubble Beam is, I mean, it was really good in pre-release. You've got the 20 damage, and you flip a coin, and if heads, your opponent's active Pokemon's now paralyzed. Just for 1 water energy, and then Wave Splash doing 40 for 1 water, 1 colorless. You got Empoleon. So total command for a water and a colorless is 20 times for each bench Pokemon on both sides. So if you've got loaded benches, total command is your friend. Then you've got Whirlpool, 2 water and a colorless, 90 damage. You discard an energy from your opponent's active, which is like, why do we not have any of these? But I think it's not a hollow in the set. That's the one. Yeah. Got those. Buzel, 30 damage for a water and a colorless. Just the standard basic Floatzel. You've got agility for 1 water energy and do 30 damage, and you can prevent some damage done to you. Aqua Blast for 80, but you have to discard a water energy from this Pokemon. I guess you could pair this up with Starmie from Evolutions and keep making sure you get water energies back, just to always have them. But Floatzel's only got 100 HP, which isn't too good. We got Snover with Ice Shard. So a water and a colorless, doing 20 plus. Your opponent's active Pokemon is a fighting Pokemon. It'll do 40. So you'll do 60 to opposing fighting type Mons. Got Abomasnow, the ability Blessings of the Frost. You play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve. And you may attach a water energy from one of your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. I mean, this ability, yeah, you get the 1 energy, but I mean, Aqua Patch can do this. You can only do it 1 turn. It's not like every turn you could do it. I think that would be a bit better, but you've got Hypno Hammer, 80 damage for a lot of energy. 1 water, 2 and 3 colorless. Your opponent's active Pokemon's now asleep. Don't really see Abomasnow doing well. So Glaceon GX is the talk of this set. Its ability is Freezing Gaze. As long as this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, your opponent's Pokemon GX and EX is in play in their hand and in their discard pile have no abilities except for Freezing Gaze. So, you just want to keep this as, well, I don't know. I mean, it's good because you turn off your opponent's Lele's, but I was just thinking like Glaceon Zoroark, you also turn off, oh no, you don't turn off anything for you, it's just your opponent. So yeah, you can have Zoroarks on your bench and just start grabbing your resources and setting up. So yeah, there's that. Frost Bullet, 1 water, 2 colorless. I really should have grabbed some water. 90 damage, and it'll do 30 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Reminds me of the Strafe for the Umbreon GX, which, I mean, Umbreon GX was good. Polar Spear GX, same energy cost, water and 2 colors, so it does 50 times damage for each damage count on your opponent's active Pokemon. This one, I really don't see its GX move being used too much. It depends, because if you've got like 50 damage, you're gonna be doing, if you got like 30, you'll be doing 150. So I mean, yeah, it could be used. Another Rotom, Wash Arrow, 1 water, 2 colorless, does 50 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Yeah, that's like, Frost Rotom, Frost Crush for the water and this colorless, 10 plus, and it does 10 times, it does 20 more damage times the amount of energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. I mean, I feel like Rotoms would just be used as like gimmicks. I don't know. We've got Manaphy, Steep Current, shuffle 5 water energy cards from your discard pile into your deck. Fisherman can do that, and I think Fisherman actually puts them in your hand. Super Rod puts them in your deck. We've got Water Pulse, 20 damage for a water energy, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. Don't really see much play for Manaphy. Manaphy has really low HP, so not too good there. Electabuzz, we're only at the electric types. Only at the electric types. I guess we haven't been going for that long. Electabuzz has got the low kick. 30 for 2 for an electric and a colorless, and then Thunder doing 90, but you did 30 to yourself, so you really can't live too many of those. Like your 3rd one and you're dead. You probably only are able to get 1 Thunder off, so not good, not good. Got Electivire, Steel Short, 60 damage, lightning and 2 colorless. For opponent's active Pokemon. Steel is now paralyzed. You might see this one actually be used more often because of how many metal decks are out there. So just be prepared for the Electivires. And the Volt Knuckle doing 130 for the 2 lightning, 2 colorless. So yeah, just with how Steel's gonna be getting some good help. We've got Shinx here, the ability Evolutionary Advantage. If you go second, you can evolve during your first turn. And then Static Shock. For 1 electric energy, you're doing 10 damage. It's not too bad. I mean, if you go second, you can evolve straight into the Alexio. But we've got Shinx, the other Shinx charge for 1 colorless. Search your deck for an electric energy card attached to this Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. So you'll have 2 energy cards already. We've got Luxio. Disconnect, 30 damage for 1 colorless, and your opponent can't play any item cards from their hand during their next turn, which, I mean, it's pretty good, for the start of a game, because you use item cards to help set up. Then we got Lux right here, Intimidating Fang. As long as this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, your opponent's active Pokemon attacks do 30 or less damage. And then you got Volt Bolt for 2 electric, 1 colorless, discard all electric energy from this Pokemon. It does 150 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So it doesn't even have to be the active. You can do like 150 to like a benched mon. But you do have to discard your 2 electric energy, and if you put 3 on there, you're gonna have to discard all 3. We got Pachirisu, which I've heard a lot of good stuff about Pachirisu, so I'll take a look at it. But it's got Snuggly Generator for 1 electric energy. For each of your bench Pokemon that has a Nuzzle attack, search your deck for electric energy that attach it to that Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. And then Nuzzle, flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. I mean, I guess it's good for beginning. I don't know. I forgot what people pair this up with the Raichu, GX, from what I've seen. But there's that. We've got the regular Rotom, Plasma Slice, doing 120 for the 3 electric energies, and then you can attack next turn. So just another Rotom. I got Drifloon, Creepy Wind for 1 psychic. Your opponent's active Pokemon is confused. Hang down 10 for a colorless. Drifloon's not that good. I mean, you get that confusion in there. Drifblim, damage transport for 2 colorless. Move 4 damage counters from each of your Pokemon to your opponent's active Pokemon. That's not. I mean, that's kind of like. That's interesting. Wind Wheel, 80 damage. The Psychic in 2 colors. Your opponent switches their active Pokemon with one of their benched Pokemon. It's Spiritomb, Lightless World. Put 2 supporter cards from your discard pile into your hand. I mean, that's not too bad if you want to help get set up for the next turns, or if you want to, for the next like 2 turns. And then we got Terrify. For 1 colorless, does 10 damage. Defending Pokemon is a basic Pokemon. It can't attack during your opponent's next turn. With it only needing colorless attacks, you can stick it in any deck. Which isn't too bad. Skorupi, Hone Claws for a colorless. During your next turn, this Pokemon's Pierce attacks is 90. And then Pierce for 2 psychic, you do 30 damage. Or if you used Hone Claws, it'll be 90. There's that. Drapion. So much energy. 4 psychic energy. You're doing 100 damage, and your opponent's active Pokemon's paralyzed and poison. And that's 4 energy drops. That's a lot. We've got Krogunk with Swagger, a psychic for 10, and then you flip a coin, and if you heads, you discard an entry from your opponent's active Pokemon. Toxicroak, Poison Jab, 1 psychic energy, dealing 30, and then your opponent's active is poison. That's not too bad. That's okay. You got it. And then the second one's Exact Revenge, 2 colorless, 50 plus. If any of your fighting type Pokemon were knocked out by damage, you'll do 70 more damage if they were attacked. If they were knocked out last turn, for your Exact Revenge. So you're doing 120 for a DC. That's not bad. We got Giratina Prism. So I think this is the first Prism that we're covering. You can't have more than one Prism card in your deck, and then if it goes to the discard, you have to put it in the lost zone and not the discard. Its ability, Chaotic Star. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may attach 2 Psychic Energy cards from your hand to it. It's got Crisis Dive, 4 Psychic Energies, but when you do play it, you have the chance of already getting 2 on there, and then it's just 2 more energy drops after that. 160, but then you have to discard 2 from this Pokemon. So, we've got Crest, Lunar Payback for 1 Psychic. Discard an energy from this Pokemon. If you do, switch all damage counters on this Pokemon with those on your opponent's active. I mean, it's a little interesting. We've got Psychic for a Psychic Energy into Colorless 60 plus. It'll do 20 more damage times the amount of energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So, I forget who this reminds me of. I don't know, but it only matters about your opponent's energy. So with it being 3 energies, it's a lot of energy for you. We got Cosmog Teleport. Switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon for colorless energy, just a standard attack for Cosmog. Cosmoem, same thing. It's also same art as Sun and Moon base, I believe. We got the Ultra Prism. Cool thing with these Prism cards is they're all basics, so you don't have to worry about evolving into them and stuff like that. But you've got Full Moon Star for Psychic Energy. For each of your opponent's Pokemon in play, attach a Psychic Energy card from your discard pile to your Pokemon any way that you like. So this is going to help get the Psychic Energies rolling from your discard pile. And then Side Storm for 4 Psychic. And you do 20 times, and it does 20 damage the amount of energy attached to all Pokemon. So you can like start powering up yours, and then Side Storm can do a lot of damage. A lot. We've got Dawnwing's Necrozma GX, ability Invasion. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is on your bench, you may switch it with your active Pokemon. So just to bring it up to the active, if it's set up, you can do that. This one's also a basic because it's Necrozma. We've got Dark Flash, 3 Psychic, doing 120, and it isn't affected by resistance, so you can still hit for weakness. And then Moon's Eclipse GX for 3 Psychic, doing 180. But you can only use it if you have more prize cards than your opponent, and you prevent all effects of attacks, including damage, during your opponent's next turn. So you do 180, so like you can knock out something, and then if something's set up in the back, doesn't matter, it can't attack you, which is pretty interesting. Cranidos, Corkscrew Punch for 1 fighting energy, 30. Head Strike, 2 energy for 50. Just standard like basic stuff. Rampardos, Clean Hit. Active Pokemon's an evolution. This will do 60 more damage. So 120, which isn't too bad for 1 energy, as long as you're not going against a basic. That's pretty dang good. Even if it's not, even if it is a basic, 60 is enough to like get the knockout, which is really good. Wild Crash, 3. Okay, this one's interesting. So Wild Crash is 3 fighting energy, and if your opponent's active Pokemon is a basic, it is knocked out. Doesn't matter the HP cost. So you could have like I'm trying to think of GXs that are basics. Lele, you can knock it out with a Rampardos with 3 energy. You do have to wait 3 energy drops. But yeah, that's pretty interesting as well. We got Riolu, Detect for 1 colorless. You flip a coin. If it's heads, you prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to Riolu. And then Jab, fighting energy for 10 damage. Yes, that's standard stuff. Lucario. So Lucario is actually, like, I think the big budget deck in this set is the Lucario Garchomp Cynthia deck. So Lucario, once during your turn, if you have a Garchomp in play, you may search your deck for a card and put it in your hand, then shuffle your deck. So you can go and you can search for that Cynthia if you want, if you don't have it. Missile Jab, fighting in a colorless, does 70, and you're not affected by resistance. 2 energy for 70, it's pretty good. If you need to. If your opponent's weak to fighting, you're doing 100, or no, you're doing 140, so you get choice, but now you're doing 200 for 2 energy, which is pretty good. Hippopotas, 11th Hour Tackle for fighting in 2 colors. Yeah, what is this? 50 plus. If there are 3 3 or fewer cards in your deck, this attack does 130 damage. You do 180 if you're almost going to deck yourself out. Hippowdon, Sand Tomb, fighting 2 colorless, 50, and your opponent's active Pokemon can't retreat. Dust Cannon, 2 fighting, 2 colorless, 100 plus. It does 100 more damage. It does 10 more damage for each star in your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost. You figure most of them have about 2, so you're gonna do like 120. So if your opponent's weak, it's 240. Pretty solid. Passimian, Power Huddle. As long as Pokemon's on your bench, your Passimian's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active evolution Pokemon. So another way to like run 4 Passimian and try and get all those up on your bench. But I wonder if it stacks. That's what I wonder. If you have like 3 Passimian on your bench and then 1 in your active, would it do the 40 plus 30, 30, 30, or just 40 plus 30? That's interesting to think about. If you guys do know the answer to that, let me know. But Rock Hurl, fighting and colorless, 40, and you're not affected by resistance. Got Murkrow, Mean Look, for 1 dark energy, 10 damage, and your opponent's active Pokemon can't retreat for the next turn. Hantro, Rip and Run. For 1 dark energy, discard a random card from your opponent's hand, and you switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. Speed Dive is 1 dark energy, 2 colorless, and 90. Not too bad, but we got Sneasel here, Sneaky Smash, 1 colorless. You can use this attack only if you go second, and only on your first turn. Discard an energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon. Ambush, dark, and dealing 10 plus damage, and if you flip heads, you get 20 more damage, so you could do up to 30 with an energy, which isn't too bad. Weavile, Icy Wind, 1 colorless, doing 10 damage, but you also put your active Pokemon to sleep. Your opponent's active Pokemon to sleep. And the Evil Admonition, 50 times. So for 1 dark energy, it does 50 times damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon that has an ability. So I guess if you're going against like Glaceon Zoroark, you're doing a bunch of damage because those all have abilities. Stunky, Gas Bond, 10 for a dark, and both actives are confused. Skuntank, Sticky Smokescreen, Darkness, and a colorless, 50 damage, and if the defending Pokemon tries to attack during your opponent's next turn, your opponent flips 2 coins. If either of them are tails, this attack does nothing. So it's not too bad. It could be a good stall deck. Hammerin, 2 darkness, and a colorless for 100 damage. Darkrai Prism. So it's got the ability Nightmare Star. When you place Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may attach 2 dark energies from your hand to it. So same thing with I believe Giratina, maybe? I think Giratina might have had that. Same effect. Bissell Sleep, 4 dark energy for 120, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep, and your opponent flips 2 coins instead of 1, and either of them is tails. Pokemon's still asleep. So that is actually not too bad. It's gonna take you 3 turns. It could take you 2 turns to set up. But then you're doing 120, and you can just constantly keep doing that. Alolan Diglett, Iron Head for the free energy. With that free energy cost, 10 times. Flip a coin until you get heads, and you do 10 damage for each heads. Gold Rush, Alolan Dugtrio, another free energy card. You do 30 times to discard any number of metal energy from your hand, and it'll do 30 times for each card you discarded. In that way. Magnemite, Searching Magnet, for a color, search your deck for up to 3 metal energy, reveal them and put them in your hand, then shuffle your deck. I need to move my tackle. Metal energy for 10 damage. We'll see. Magnemite, the other one, ability is solid unit as long as Pokemon is on your bench. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks, and then ram for a metal and a colorless. For 20, you'd probably want to, I'd say you might want to just play this one over the other one. Magneton, ram, 1 metal energy, doing 20 damage, and then Zap Cannon, 80 damage for 2 metal and a colorless, and you can't use Zap Cannon during your next turn. Kind of sucks. But Magnezone. So its ability is going to be really helpful when it's on your bench. As often as you like during your turn, you may attach a metal energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon. And then Zap Cannon, 3 metal and a colorless, doing 130, but you can't use Zap Cannon on your next turn. Shieldon. I just know Magnezone is going to be used for its ability. That's another way Metal's getting a boost in this set. We got Shieldon, Takedown, 50 for a metal and a colorless, but you do 10 to yourself. And Shieldon actually has quite a bit of HP, especially for being a stage 1. Confront, you've got 2 metal and a colorless for 80. Bastiodon, the ability Earth and Shield, prevent all damage done to your steel or your metal Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon that have any special energy attached to them. So that's not too bad. If you run like a 1/1 Bastiodon, well, you'd have to run the Fossil too. But then your metal Pokemon, anything that has special energy can attack. And then push down 2 metal, a colorless for 110. And you may have your opponent switch their active Pokemon with one of their benched. Bronzor, Hypnosis, metal, your opponent's active Pokemon's asleep. Spinning attack, 2 colorless, 20 damage. Not too good. We've got Bronzong, Cybolt, 20 damage for a metal energy. Flip a coin, and then if you flip heads, your opponent's active Pokemon paralyzed. Psychic Resonance. If your opponent has any psychic Pokemon in play, this attack does 60 more damage. So you can do 120 for a metal and a 2 colorless. You got Heatran, Guard Press. Heatran was pretty good in pre-release, I know that. Guard Press for a metal and a colorless, dealing 30 damage, and then you take 30 less the next turn. And then Boiling Impact, 2 metal and a colorless, doing 130, but you have to discard 2 energy cards from your Pokemon, from Heatran. We got Solgaleo Prism, which I think is the Prism card that a lot of people want to get. Radiant Star for a metal energy. For each of your opponent's Pokemon in play, attach a metal energy from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way you like. And then Corona Impact for 4 metal energy, dealing 160, and then you can attack during next turn. So if you get a Transplant, that's 190. That's solid for a basic. Yeah, you get it's gonna take 4 energies, but you just take some time and set it up, and it should work pretty decently. Duskmane across him GX, Claw Slash for the 3 colorless, 60 damage. I mean, that's not good at all. I mean, it's 2 energy drops, but still. Then you've got Meteor Tempest, 3 metal and a colorless, 220, but you have to discard 3 energy. But I guess maybe if you pair it up with the here for each of your opponent's Pokemon in play, well, you'd have to make sure your opponent still has bench mons. Sun's Eclipse GX, 250 for 3 metal energy. You can use this attack only if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent. Doing 250, which can knock out anything. Magearna, ability to change clothes. Once during your turn, you may put a tool card attached to one of your Pokemon into your hand, just bringing your tool cards back if you need them. Rolling attack for a metal and 2 colorless, 60 damage, so Magearna's not good. We've got Morlul, Flickering Spores for a colorless, and your opponent's active Pokemon's asleep, and then Ram for a fairy energy, 10 damage. Standard basic stuff. We got Shiinotic, the ability Illuminate. I believe it still had this ability when it was a Grassmon in, I want to say, Sun and Moon base. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for a fairy Pokemon, reveal it, and put it in your hand, and then shuffle your deck, but it was just grass. Flickering Spores, 30 damage for a fairy and a colorless, and your opponent's active Pokemon's now asleep. So to help you set up your fairy decks, then we got Tapu Lele. Psywave, doing 20 times, so it does 20 times damage, the amount of energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon, for 1 fairy energy, and then Magical Swap. For fairy and a colorless, move any number of damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon to the other ones in any way that you like. So if you're getting a lot of damage done and they're trying to switch everything around, you can swap all that energy. I've got Alolan Executor. Executor's Paradise for the free energy cost For each of your bench to execute, search your deck for an Alolan Executor or Alolan Executor GX and put it onto that execute to evolve it, then shuffle your deck. So once you have one set up, you can easily get the other 3 set up quick, unless you got them prized. A Draco Meteor Barrage, a Grass 2 colorless, 80 times. So flip a coin for each Grass Energy touches Pokemon, do 80 times for each heads. So you can anywhere from 0 to 240 with that attack. We got Gable with the Ascension. Search your deck for a card that evolves from this Pokemon and then put it onto this Pokemon to evolve it, then shuffle. The other one is Rock Hiding. If this Pokemon has any fighting energy attached to it, it has no retreat cost, and then Nah for 2. I don't know, I feel like I might want to play the other Gibble just to hopefully get the 3 turns. If I don't have the Gabite, just get that evolution. Or if you can evolve it into a Gabite, then you can use Gabite's Ascension to get a Garchomp on like your second turn. Well, the second turn you're able to evolve. Actually, the first turn you're able to evolve. Search your deck for a card, blah, same thing. Slash 2 colorless, doing 40. But if you use that Ascension, then you've got Garchomp. And Garchomp, Quick Dive, 2 colorless, it does 50 damage to one of your opponent's benched. And then Royal Blades, fighting and 2 colorless, doing 100 plus damage. If you played Cynthia from your hand during this turn, you do another 100, so you can be doing 200 damage. We've got Dialga GX, Overclock for Steel Energy, draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. If you need to get set up, you don't have a supporter. Shred, Metal and 2 colorless, 80, and it isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active. I mean, it's solid damage. It's quite a bit of energy for that. Timeless GX, 3 metal and 2 colorless, 150. Take another turn after this one. Skip the between turn steps. So you get to go again. You do your 150 and then guess what? It's now your turn again. And then you can easily shred to get the 230. And then if you've got a choice band going against a GX, you've got the 180 plus 1, yeah. It's not too bad. Especially since it's the basic. It's a lot of energy though. It'd be at 4 energy drops. You got Palkia GX, Spatial Control, Water Energy, move any number of energy from your bench Pokemon to this Pokemon. See if Dialga had something like this. That would be decent. Hydro Pressure 60 plus for 3 colorless. It does 20 more damage times the amount of water energy attached to this Pokemon. So you'll do a base of 60, or you can do up to 120 if you've got 3 water energy attached. And then you've got 3 water energy, 2 colorless, 0 Vanish GX doing 150, and then you shuffle all energy from each of your opponent's Pokemon into their deck. Which is good if they've used up so much of their deck to try and power up their mons, and you're like, nope, put all your energy back in there, and they have to do it one by one. So it's actually interesting. I mean, it's not going to be a super playable deck, but I can see someone trying to make a deck with that. We've got Lickitung, Lap Up, you draw 3 cards for 2 colorless, and Slam, 3 colorless, you do 50 times, based on however many. If you flip 2 heads, you do 100, if you flip 0, you do 0. 1, you do 50. Licky, we've got Dangerous Lick, 3 colorless, doing 50 plus. So you flip a coin until you get tails, does 50 more damage for its heads. And then if you do flip tails on your first one, you only do 50 damage, but you do paralyze your opponent's active Pokemon, which is, I mean, pretty interesting. Rolling Tackle 110 for 4 colorless. I'd rather just stick with the Dangerous Lick. Eevee 20 for 1 colorless energy, but we know what the best EV to use is. The Energy Evolution one. I don't know what that ability is. We've got Palette of Friends. How much HP does that do? Okay. See, both these basics have 60. Palette of Friends for a 2 colorless. 10 times this tech does 10 times damage for each different type of Pokemon on your bench. I'd still rather play the Eevee from Sun and Moon base. We've got Bunnery, Weak Need. For a colorless, if the defending Pokemon tries to attack during your opponent's next turn, your opponent flips a coin. If tails, it does nothing. And then skip for 10 for 1 colorless. So. I've got Lopunny, Stompy Stomp. Flip 2 coins and does 40 damage for each head, so you do anywhere from 0 to 80 for one colorless. You got Happy Turn, which for 2 colorless you do 60, and then you may shuffle its Pokemon all cards attached to it into your deck. Glameow, you've got Gentle Bite, doing 10 and for a colorless. But then your defending Pokemon attack, they do 40 less damage, which is pretty good actually. Taking 40 damage less. Purugly, Own the Place for a colorless, doing 20 damage, and if there's a stadium card in play, you discard it. What's this if your opponent has a stadium card in play? So I guess if you play it, you don't have to discard it. If you do, prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done on this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn, and then toss aside for 3 colorless. You do 60 damage, discard random cards from your opponent's hand until they have 3 cards in their hand. So if they've got a big ol' hand, you can toss aside and have them discard stuff. Crazy. Another Rotom. I believe this is the last Rotom. Spinning Fan for 3 colorless. It does 20 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon for 3 energy. We've got the other Shaman. Call for Family for a colorless. Search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. This attack, I believe, is better than the other attack for the Shaman, because the other one, I believe, you had to be 3 different types. But you did get 3 Mons. But this one, you just get any 2 you want. You get 2 colorless, 2 grass, 2 whatever. Then Glide, colorless, doing 20 damage. Young Goose Scout, your opponent reveals their hand for a colorless energy, and then take down, dealing 30 for 2 colorless energies, but it does 10 to itself. I mean, Scout was useful in pre-release, but I don't think it'll be useful now. Gumshoes, identify. Your opponent reveals their hand. If you find a Pokemon there, stack does 80 more damage. So you can do 100 damage if you stick a choice band 130 for a DCE if your opponent has a Mon in their hand, which, I mean, that's not too bad. And then we got Whap Down doing 70 for 3 energies. Rangaroo, Resource Management, colorless energy. Put 3 cards from your discard pile onto the bottom of your deck in any order. See, this, you would pair this with Looker. I know a lot of people are like, why do you draw 3 cards from the bottom of your discard? Well, I feel like there are going to be more cards like this Rangaroo that put... Well, no. Yeah. Because then you can grab... So with this one, you put 3 cards from your discard pile on the bottom of your deck, any order you like. So your next turn, you can use Looker and grab those 3 cards, unless your opponent ends or does anything that you have to shuffle your deck for. Profound Knowledge, 60 damage, 3 colorless, and your opponent's active Pokemon is confused. That's a lot of energy. We've got a new Type Null. I don't know if this Type Null is better than the other one. It has like the same energy cost though. Merciless Strike, 30 plus for 2 colorless. If your opponent's active Pokemon already has damage counters, and it'll do 30 more damage. So you do 30, and then you'll do 60, 60, 60, 60. And then Headbang for 3 colorless, doing 70. I'll have to see which one is better. Sabali GX, this is the same as the other one, the Gyro Unit ability. Your basic Pokemon have no retreat costs. Turbo Drive, doing 120 for 3 colorless, attaching basic energy from your discard pile to one of your bench mons. And the Rebel GX, doing 50 times for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon for the 3 colorless. Same thing that we've had in Crimson, just different artwork. And then we've got Drampa, Outrage for 2 colorless, doing 20 plus, so do 10 more damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. And then Dragon Pulse for 3 colorless, doing 100 damage, and you discard the top 2 cards of your deck, though. I believe that is it. Yeah, because then we're going on to the next set. We'll go to trainers real quick. Alright, so you got the trainers for Ultra Prism, Ancient Crystal, the Regirock, Regice, Registeel, Regigigas. This card is attached to takes 3 less damage from your opponent's attacks. Only useful in Regidecks. Crushing Hammer is only a secret rare in this set, but you flip a coin of heads, discard an energy from one of your Pokemon. From one of your opponent's Pokemon. Just a general Crushing Hammer we've had in a few sets already. Cynthia, shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 6 cards, which is pretty dang good because it's like N, but doesn't rely on prize cards. So your opponent doesn't have to do it. It's also like Shauna too, where you shuffle your hand into your deck and then draw 5. But I think Cynthia's going to see more play because of the pairing with Garchomp. Ultra Prism, you can only play this card if your active Pokemon is a water or a metal Pokemon. And your opponent chooses 2 bench Pokemon and shuffles the others and all cards attach them into their deck. This kind of sucks because your opponent chooses which 2 benched ones they want to keep. But I mean, you might see it be played here and there. You can only have 1 in your deck anyway. Electric Memory, so we're getting a few more of these memories. I can't wait for the Steel Memory to come out. But this is why Savali is so useful. If you're weak to, I don't know, if you're weak to, I can say if you're weak to electric. But if you're weak to water, well, stick Savali in there with the electric memory, and there you go. Now you've got electric type Mon. So we've got the electric memory, skateboard, the retreat cost of this Pokemon. This card is attached to it is a colorless less, and it can retreat even if it's asleep or paralyzed. That one also does a secret rare in here. We've got the fire memory, which is the same thing, just now Savali is a fire type. So I think we've got fire, electric, fighting, and psychic. So we've got four of them. Gardenia, however you want to say it. Heal 80 damage from one of your Pokemon that has any grass energy attached to it. And with Leafy on GX, you're already healing 50 from any Pokemon that has energy attached to it. Lana, we got this in a previous set. I want to say Burning Shadows. I think it was Burning Shadows. You have 50 damage from each of your Pokemon that has any water energy attached to it. See if Gardenia was like this, I think it'd be a little bit more useful. We got the full art Lana in this set. Lily, draw cards until you have 6 in your hand. If it's your first turn, draw cards until you have 8 cards in your hand. So generally, we know new artwork. Looker, draw 3 cards from the bottom of your deck. This is the one I'm talking about with the Oranguru. I feel like I said, there'll be more cards that'll utilize drawing from the bottom of your deck. Looker's Whistle. So you search your deck for up to 2 cards named Looker, reveal them, and put them in your hand, and then you shuffle. If you need a Looker, I guess. I don't know. We've got Lucamine. Same thing from the last set. I believe it came out in Crimson. Put 2 in any combination of supporter and stadium cards from your discard pile into your hand. Way to get some supporters back. Mars, you draw 2 cards. If you do, discard a random card from your opponent's hand. Not too bad. Kukui's a bit better because you can do 20 more damage. Missing Clover. You may play 4 Missing Clover cards at once. If you play 1, look at the top card of your deck. If you played 4, take a prize card. It's not bad. Mount Coronet. Once during each player's turn, that player may put 2 metal energy from the discard pile into their hand. So it's actually not too bad. It's actually a pretty good stadium. Now that I'm looking at it, that's pretty decent. Order pad. Flip a coin if head, search your deck for an item card, reveal it, and put it in your hand, then shuffle your deck. Just grabbing an item that you need. But it does rely on a coin flip. Pal Pad, shuffle 2 supporter cards from your discard pile into your deck. Pal Pad is good because then you don't have to worry about using your supporter to get your supporters back. The only thing is, these don't go straight into your hand. They go back into your deck, but you can easily, if you want to lay for them, stuff like that. So Pal Pad, I think it might be decent to use in a few decks. It's not going to be pricey at all, but I don't think I've had Pal Pad since Flash Fire. I don't think so. Peeking red card. Opponent reveals their hand. You may have your opponent count the cards in their hand, shuffle those cards into their deck, then draw that many cards. If you think they have a good hand, you can have them shuffle all that in. Pokemon Fan Club, search your deck for up to 2 basic, reveal them, and put them in your hand, then shuffle your deck. So, not too bad with that. Unidentified Fossil, play this card as if it were a 60 HP basic Pokemon. At any time during your turn, you may discard this card from play, and it can't retreat. Just a way to get the fossils on here. And then Volkner, you search your deck for an item card and an energy electric energy card, reveal them, put them into your hand, then you shuffle your deck. So a way to get, I don't know if you need a choice band and electric energy, you can easily get those. Now let's look at the ones from Ultra Prism. So we've got the Super Boost Energy Prism card. Provides colorless energy. While this card is attached to a stage 2 mon, it provides every type of energy but only provides 1 energy at a time. If you have 3 or more stage 2 mons, it provides every type of energy but provides 4 energy at a time. So it has to be attached to a stage 2 and it's 4 energy. Crazy. I don't know what decks are going to run this. I'll definitely have to see. Unit energy, the grass, fire, water. While this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides any one of those energies, but only provides 1 of them. And you got the reverse of it, the secret rare of it. And then we've got the lightning psychic metal. Same thing. It can provide any one of those, but only 1 of them at a time. And that's going to actually be it. We're going to go back up here. Yeah, that's going to be it. About a little less than an hour long. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the set review. These will get better and better as I play more and more and start learning like the older cards in here. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys did, be sure to leave a like. See you guys all tomorrow with a case of the TCGO, an Ultra Prism TCGO case opening. So if you guys will enjoy that, it was definitely pretty fun to stream. Got some pretty good pulls. But next week we bring back deck trials on Tuesday with some Ultra Prism decks. Can't wait. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys all tomorrow. Cleffa is out.